we started this morning out talking about some broad stroke trends that are influencing the solar and storage market. And I think that as we wrap up today, one of the things that I think will really tie a bow on this day one of Solar Storage Fest is a deeper dive into the data that is driving the industry. And Natalie Campos-Goodman is going to walk us through a quick presentation that she has put together about some of the biggest clean energy trends in the United States. So Natalie, please join us up here.
Appreciate it, thanks. All righty. Guessing this moves it forward. Nope. Let's go back one. Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. As mentioned, Natalie Goodman, I'm the founder of IncentiFind, and fun fact about me, I'm a massively recovering architect, so I'm gonna have lots of visuals. You're gonna see me use my hands a lot, and if there was a whiteboard in this room, I would absolutely gravitate towards it. So who's IncentiFind? I know I looked at the attendant list a little bit beforehand, and I saw some folks that we've already done some work with, and they're probably thinking, please stop speaking because you've been our secret weapon in helping bring cost savings to a lot of our owners and their particular projects. But for those who don't know IncentiFind, we are the nation's only database for green incentives. We house 12,000 incentives and counting. We've actually just stopped counting. For all 50 states, that's federal, state, county, city, utility levels. That's energy efficiency, water conservation, renewables, electric vehicles, economic development, historic reuse, opportunity zones, PACE-eligible areas, you name it. We built a database the way owners think about their buildings, right, which is holistically. So I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But we bring, as I mentioned, cost savings to both residential, commercial sectors, and I'll go into each one of those. So anytime they're thinking of going green, we're connecting them to incentives. Why should anyone care about a database filled with incentives? We always go to this slide when folks ask us that question because it shows both the supply and the demand. We work with United States Green Building Council and Energy Star Portfolio Manager and said, all right guys, 2018, what do you think? How many projects either attempted and achieved going green or how many attempted and just didn't get the certification? And we all know not every project achieves certification, it's still green, right? So that estimate came out to about 1 million projects per year in the United States that are all going to some level of green. We worked with DOE to get an estimate. We said, okay, fine, IncentiFind doesn't exist as a database. How much money do you think is being left on the table for the 1 million projects that are going green each year? And they said, well, probably around 10 billion. So there's our supply and demand. You're beginning to see what IncentiFind does, right? We're a simple platform that connects green projects to green incentives using a simple survey. I'm going to hone in on the simple survey aspect because this is where we collect all our data. Any property owner or those serving them can search our database completely for free. You need to fill out a survey about your project. And I'll show you what we find in that data. First, I think it's important to lay some groundwork as a recovering architect. Obviously, I'm going to go to the American Institute of Architects, their 2019 America's Building Stock Report. So what's happening with all of our buildings in the US? Well, we can see half of the architectural buildings are on what? Existing buildings, right? Where your architects go, so do your GCs, so do your engineers, so do your installers. We also see that embedding sustainable practices can represent a 50% increase in asset value. So now you know what your owners are thinking, right? If they've got these existing assets. And right here, we've got 90 billion square feet of commercial building stock, of which half is 40 years old. So owners are bleeding out the sides. They need to upgrade these facilities, and they know that they can see a 50% increase in asset value if they do. So what are we seeing in IncentiFind? Over on this side, we've got 12,000 incentives. About half of them are commercial, residential, just for square numbers. 51% are focused on energy efficiency. 11% on water conservation, 18% on renewables. I know that doesn't add to 100. Remember, we carry electric vehicles and all the economic development incentives as well. Over here, these are the top states we see in our database from what we've collected that offer commercial incentives. And then right there in the middle, this is where we're seeing states that are constantly cycling through our database. We see thousands of survey entries per year. This is just for commercial. So California came in number 1. This is year to date starting January 1, 2019. Texas number 2, Florida number 3, New York number 4, Washington number 5, and Colorado number 6. So let's just look at the top 3. So what are we seeing here at IncentiFind? Of all of the surveys that are coming in for California, you can see 90% are existing buildings. But our top asset for California is actually retail, so big box, it could be a mixed use in the tenant space, it could be a strip mall. 86% of our projects that come in are looking for energy efficiency incentives. 61% are looking for solar, 36% for water conservation. And you're going to see this at the bottom of the slide. As I had mentioned, we built a database to reflect how owners actually address their buildings, right? And that's owners think holistically. They don't just have a solar problem, an LED problem, or a water conservation problem. They have an aging building problem. So these are the trends we're seeing for California. Let's have a look at Texas. 71% are existing buildings. Office is the most common asset. By the way, it was neck and neck between office and multifamily in Texas. I think there was a 5-survey determination between office that made it win. 62% of the projects wanted to capture energy efficiency. 72% were looking for solar, so that's probably our multifamilies looking for that. 28% looking for water conservation. Lastly, let's look at Florida real quick. All of them were existing buildings that came through Florida so far in 2019. Warehouse industrial, we saw a huge uptick in the port area. So of course, those warehouses, industrial assets more than likely are conditioned because they all want to capture energy efficiency incentives. Half of them wanted solar, 10% were looking for water conservation. So that's just a quick snapshot of commercial. Let's have a look at what's happening on the residential sector. This was probably one of the most shocking things that we learned through our lender network. We work with nearly 500 lenders nationwide for both commercial and residential financing. A lot of our customers that come to us want to get connected to a lender to finance their project. So we've paired up, like I said, with nearly 500 lenders nationwide. The single largest expense after a mortgage is utility costs. That's water and electricity. So it can directly impact how large a mortgage a homeowner can afford. Lenders are now starting to realize, hold on a second, green assets have lower operating costs, they've got lower default rates, they've got lower prepayment risks. And I can tell you, from the lenders that we work with, they're starting to offer a lot more loan products that are geared towards energy efficiency, solar, and water conservation efforts. And as you can see, loans emerged as the dominant financing solution for residential solar in 2018. So let's see what the homeowners are doing. So again, 12,000 incentives in our database. You can see the breakdown over here of energy, water conservation, and renewables. These are the top states for residential incentives. And typically, residential will mirror commercial in most aspects. So California is still coming in at number 1, Texas number 2, Florida number 3. Colorado's number 4, Washington number 5, and New Jersey. So we'll just look at the top 3. For California, all of our homes that are coming in are all existing. Their average age is 20 years old. Homeowners all of them wanted to get connected to energy efficiency in California. 67 were looking for solar incentives. Half of them wanted water conservation, probably because their water bill's at a pain point. California's been going through a lot of drought issues as well. Texas, all the surveys that came in were existing homes, average age 18 years old. All of the homeowners wanted energy efficiency incentives. 61% wanted solar, 43% water conservation. And then Florida. So again, all of the homes are existing, average age 15 years. 90% of the homeowners wanted energy efficiency. 70% were looking at solar, and just 4% at water conservation. So those are just our top 3 states on the commercial residential side, but what are we seeing nationwide at IncentiFind? From all the surveys, if we looked across all 50 states. One thing that really caught our interest was the significant uptick in multifamily starting in January, and it's just continued to rise month over month. As I mentioned, it almost beat out the top asset in Texas. We think this is due to the fact that 75% of your multifamily building stock was built prior to 2001. So they're probably lacking in water and energy efficiency features. We think this could represent an opportunity for solar here. Those are great assets for that. For the residential sector, 70% of our homeowners indicate, so they come to IncentiFind saying, we already have a loan, we're just looking to get connected to incentives, right? 25% are saying, nope, we don't have a loan. Can you connect us to our lender network? What you should take from that is that 95% of homeowners are trying to do what? Leverage a loan to cover their entire home improvement upgrade. So we believe loans are going to make solar ownership easier, and partnering with loan providers, they're also looking to scale in that regard, so solar should definitely be looking at that as well. I think for both sectors, we have a little checkbox on our survey that says, what type of incentives are you looking for? And resilience we added recently, and we've noticed that box has been checked on every single survey. So when we say resilience, we give an example. We say hurricane proofing, flood proofing, fire proofing generators is one, and there's a few other examples. I think as there are a lot of extreme weather that's happening nationwide and homeowners are impacted, they have an interest in this in both residential and commercial sectors. So for that reason, I think that this could be a great opportunity for both solar and storage and helping these assets stay resilient during these terminal times. Obviously, that's just a snippet of the data we collect. We collect it across nationwide. We do share it with state and local governments. My email's up there. I'm happy to answer any questions. We're always happy to talk about our data as well as our platform. So I just appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Do you mind staying up for a few questions?
Yes, I can answer questions now. Yeah.
One of my roles, I work as the chairman for the Sustainability Advisory Board for Habitat for Humanity. So my question is related to demographics. Are you able to correlate your data with demographic data from census for various neighborhoods to try to see what the interests are or even use of your services are for underserved communities or for minority communities?
That's a great question. For the residential side, when it comes to what I would call more affordable housing, those users are coming in usually as builders, and they're taking advantage of the incentives. There's a lot of mistrust when it comes to the homeowner and these types of government-backed programs or even utility-backed programs. But the group that uses us most widely in the affordable housing is going to be the developer and or builder in that regard. And we usually have a great relationship in that we can quickly connect that builder to lots of incentives that can be applicable to a larger development rather than trying to just impact one single homeowner.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a question. You've got good information here.
Yeah, I think there's Mike.
Well, I think it looks like you've got really good information. And maybe you mentioned that in the beginning, but how do you fund your platform? Who pays you?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Great question. Well, I'll just describe it. So how we work, you can search for free. The second you want to determine your eligibility and get a curated list of incentives just right for your project, we'll assess a fee. There's a fee for residential, there's a fee for commercial. And then if you want to go on to apply to the services, we can certainly help you. It's a contingency fee that we'll take. So, we don't get paid until you actually receive the incentive. But the search aspect is always open and free so that we can collect this data and, of course, share it back with state, local governments, or regulated utility companies. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why that turned off. Sorry, what was that?
Do the lenders pay you too?
The lenders, no, they are direct channel partners of ours. Most lenders will offer our product as part of the loan closing. Some will cover half the cost of our reports. Some will cover the full cost of the reports, but they do not receive any they don't upsell our products is what I'm saying. So they can either directly connect us, or like I said, they can take off a portion of our report and give it to the homeowner or commercial property owner at loan closing as a kind of a thank you for doing business with them.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we're all happy. That was a wonderful presentation. What a fantastic day. Thank you for being such a great audience with thoughtful questions, very engaging, great conversations that I've just been able to overhear during networking breaks. As I reflect back on this first day, and we've got a whole second day of great content to come, I think that the real crux of this is that we're at that inflection point with renewable energy and how solar and storage are really coming together to integrate. Solar had such a tremendous run of phenomenal growth over the past 15 years. And storage, as we talked about, in the next 10 years is going to double 6 times. That interconnection is going to power a green revolution. And it's not just utilities, it's not just customers, it's not just developers and builders that are going to take advantages. It's going to be all of us. So thank you very much for a great day one. Let's go have a drink, all right? Thank you.